Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the General Government Budget Committee. 80 degrees outside. Just in case you were keeping score. All right. Today on the agenda, we have the Judicial Council budget and the Judicial Branch budget recommendations. You'll note that Thursday's meeting has been reallocated to Monday. So just in case some of the other afternoon committees are canceled, so are we.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and to everybody here. We have the best chairman around.
Just asking. Yes, if you could put that in the minutes, that'd be fantastic. And a recorded vote. All right, let's get started. We can get started. It's here. Excellent. Let's start with the Judicial Council budget. I think that one's a little bit easier for us to get up to speed on. Representative Wagner.
That we accept the governor's recommendation for fiscal year 2022 and 2023.
Second by Representative Amix. As far as discussion is concerned, sorry, we're done. No, we're on the Judicial Council budget right now. I didn't see any big fluctuations here or changes. The only thing that did change was a reduction. I can't get upset about that.
So the pay increase thing we had for the judicial branch, does that include the Judicial Council, or are they on the same? Are they just another typical agency as far as salary scale?
Are you asking about the increase that we put in place last year? Yeah, no, this is a separate agency. Yeah. Yeah, this would be separate.
Clarification.
Okay. Is there any discussion at all? Those in favor of passing out the Judicial Council budget for 2022 and 2023 per the governor's recommendation, say aye. Opposed, say nay. Very good. That will be the report to appropriations. Let's go on to the Judicial Branch.
I'll start off with the motion to accept the recommend the governor's proposal for fiscal year 2022 and 2023 for the Judicial Branch.
Seconded by Representative Amix. Discussion. Start with 2022.
I can raise a question. So again, just understanding the salary and wage increase is fundamentally tied in with what we did as far as the kind of automatic increase that we're doing. Okay. Then it is also then the continual increase is what's baked into 2023 because it keeps going up. Is that true or not?
2022 and 2023.
Okay. As far as but the increase started. I guess it didn't start until 2022. Anyway, 21 tip for 20. Got it.
Conference, it was a 2-year 22 and 20. Separating the two. Then let's look at 2023.
Mr. Chairman, I have some discussion on this.
Representative Arnberger.
So my discussion, I'm trying to find the article that I want to pull up. my discussion has to deal with Casa. I've talked about Casa for many, many, many years. I've been on this committee. This is my 4th year. 3 out of the 4 years, I've had an amendment to bring funding to Casa. I was a Casa volunteer in my hometown. I enjoyed the process, enjoyed being able to work with the judicial branch on advocating for children in need. And I got on the Central Kansas CASA board, and then now I'm on the Kansas CASA board. So huge proponent of CASA. But what I get frustrated on is how the funding, how I've always asked for the funding, and it's been no problem, is it goes through the key fund. Well, apparently, when you go through all of this, the key fund then goes to the Children's Cabinet. And the executive director of the Children's Cabinet is trying to tell organizations that they can't spend the money how the legislature intended it. And that's, last I checked, they have no jurisdiction over that. We're the ones who decide how money will be spent. So I just want to state that that's extremely frustrating. And then on top of it, I'm trying to find the article here, that the Children's Cabinet, like I said, they're stating that organizations can't spend the money they want to, the way they want to, or how they were requested to. They went ahead and they're saying that CASA does not qualify. Well, they went ahead and they funded Washburn University School of Law, a 6-part webinar for family law professors. Example, lawyers, judges, CASAs on topics pertaining to cultivating family well-being through the application process of strengthening family, so forth. So CASA is okay there, but they're not okay with how the legislature has put in their budget for $250,000 each year through the judicial branch. So with that being said, I'm not going to make my request because I'm tired of bureaucrats telling other organizations what they can and can't do. And I know that there's some conversations that will be happening, that hopefully that funding will be there in a different model. But I'm just asking that we can put a recommendation that at Omnibus, if the funding does not come through in April, then that we will, that the Appropriations Committee will look at possibly funding the $250,000. $250,000, folks. That's all we're asking. To Kansas CASA. It saves the state millions of dollars. It saves each child in the program on average 2.5 months in foster care. So this is a huge saving for the state of Kansas, and I find it extremely upsetting that the executive director of the Children's Cabinet is telling telling organizations that the legislature did not do their job and that we did not appropriate those funds. So I had to get that out there. I've been dealing with this all day. I'm trying not to upset anybody, but I wanted to get that ask in there and look forward to maybe in future years, if there's a new executive director for the Children's Cabinet, that then they will not be having those same feelings and CASA can get their funding that way.
Okay. Stephen, did you get any of that or most of that?
Sure. Stephen Wu, Legislative Research. What I have jotted down is a recommendation to review CASA funding at Omnibus, as well as a request for the House Committee on Appropriations to look for $250,000 in funding to allocate to CASA in the absence of similar distribution from the key fund.
Yes. That sounds exactly like what I just said.
Sounded very similar.
Yeah.
Wagner.
I appreciate very much the comments from Representative from Great Bend. So with this money, it would go like what, straight to the state CASA board, and then how would money be distributed to CASA?
So currently there is a formula that OGA has that there are, I want to say like 23 or 26 CASA organizations, and then it gets funneled out that way. So that's how and it's all based off population where kids are. So it's not just a split in the right in the middle. It's all over. So not every single county in Kansas has a CASA program.
Treat that as the Arnberger Amendment as our annotation to the budget. So is there any further discussion on the Arnberger Amendment? Seeing none, Representative Amix.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. If I could ask a question. So that language, is that going to correct the problem?
No, it won't correct the problem. It's at least just to, if the
Funding becomes available.
if the funding becomes available. So it won't be through the key fund, not necessarily. It's going to be through the appropriations process. If they feel like it should go through the key fund, then great. But at the same time, I was asked to not make the request from some folks with Kansas Casa because they didn't want to deal with the upsetting with what's going on right now with the Children's Cabinet. They're trying to mend and move forward and find another avenue for that funding. But I'm just asking that at Omnibus, if the funding is not there, that funding could be there.
And if I could, Mr. Chairman, isn't there another way that if the representative was to make the request, we can't correct this problem? We as a legislature could correct the problem.
Sure, as far as the funding problem, we can correct that. Yes, absolutely. As far as the reason for the funding problem, as far as the transfer is concerned, a little bit more, would be a little bit stickier, and we certainly wouldn't go through a budget. Would it be legislatively secured? Yes, but that's going to be snuck in. All right, all those in favor of the Arnberger Amendment, say aye. And opposed, say nay. Very good. That will be added to our report. All right, further discussion on the 2023 budget.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Representative Amix.
And, you know, the discussions that we've had and the work that has been done on this budget, I feel really comfortable with the budget, the recommendations we've gone through, the additional judges, salaries, just all parts of it. I think that there's a lot of work that's been done. The idea of being able to budget process, I think is good. I get there's been a lot of work done, and you know, I just want to commend the judicial branch and what they've done.
Glad you mentioned that because that is one of the notations that I had. Number 5, the eliminating the judicial surcharge. That's in a separate bill, HB 2541. We're actually hearing that one in appropriate. We're working it. We've already heard it. Yeah, that's right. Sounded familiar. We're going to work it in appropriations tomorrow. At this point, I would want to remove that language in this budget, pending passage of 2541 through the full body, both bodies, so that we can make the adjustment after the fact. Certainly, we're going to make them whole, but if that for some reason doesn't take place, I don't want to transfer $9 million more from SGF in addition to the judicial surcharge that's already there. That would be my recommendation on that one. Yep. Representative Burrows.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just for clarification, we eliminate that and the bill doesn't pass, then number five goes back in. Is that what you're proposing in omnibus?
If the bill doesn't pass, then the money that was going to be transferred out of the judicial surcharge won't be. So it would still be back in their budget. Be through the judicial surcharge if the bill doesn't pass. If the bill does pass, yes, the $9 million will go back in to replace the money that would be otherwise.
I just want to make sure that the governor's requested. I think it's pretty courageous and trusting of the.
I agree that is an act of faith.
And I would like to think that we're operating.
Right. I agree with you.
So your language proposal.
Elimination of number 5, and then adding a notation of saying, you know, this would be added back in pending passage of 2541.
Spells that
out. Just to clarify, so you will be deleting the 9 million?
Right.
Is it your intent for you to replace that? There would be 9 million down. Is it your intent to authorize existing resources?
From the judicial surcharge, right, as it exists.
Yep. So
at this exact moment, yeah, and it may very well be changing.
Okay, yeah, then the recommendation I have is to delete 9 million from the state general fund and add 9 million for surcharge pending. That
Change number 2. Yeah. Discussion. Yes, Representative French.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Did we resolve the issue of the Chief Justice's 4th request about the judicial branch going off key funds to SGF? Include that in our budget.
Actually, I think that was number 5 on this budget, the judicial surcharge.
We talked about the key funds not funding the judicial branch, going to strictly SGF.
Docket fee fund. Oh, number 6.
Is that what you guys were talking about?
Okay. No, well, no, we're talking about 5. The judicial surcharge. Docket fee fund. Oh heck.
Pretty big change that that she hit us with, and I just want to make sure that we're addressing it.
Oh, the docket fee fund adjustment. I think that one was A-okay. I didn't have any issues with that one at all. Number 6 on the list. I don't see any difficulties with that one at all. Right. I think we resolved it in that none of us seem to have a problem with it. Is there a concern on you?
No, not for me. I just wanted to make sure we did address it, and it was going to be addressed in the
right
report out. Okay, very good. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
My pleasure. Okay, further discussion on the Chairman Amendment 1. Seeing none, all those in favor of including Chairman Amendment 1 in the report out, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. My other observation, understand that adding 58 FTE positions is going to be lift in appropriations. And I'm up to it. I'm a big kid. But one thing that stands out in my mind is that we look at the efficiency study and only 49 were actually indicated, but they needed 58 because of the one judge, one county policy. I would recommend revisiting that issue. Now, we can't do it in the budget committee, but I just make a note to appropriations that I think it's probably time, as we see population shift, as we see work share coming into play with the e-filings and so forth. I think it's appropriate to start looking at the one judge, one county policy. And I'd like to make a statement like that in appropriations. Senator Van Mix.
Chair. So are you looking at, this is something that's an interim committee?
It would not be part of a budget committee at all. I can almost assure you of that. Probably judicial, I would think.
The statement, I think, is probably something that can be added. I would hate to see it take away from this budget. The numbers.
Modifying these numbers one bit. I will take these with me into approps and see what happens. But but I just want to call attention to the fact that we're hiring more people than we actually need based on our policy. Chairman Amendment 2. All right, all those in favor of including Chairman Amendment 2 in the budget report out, say aye. Opposed, say nay. All right, I'm done. Somebody else take the baton. Discussion? I was just waiting for Paul to process over here. All right. Then all those in favor of passing out the judicial branch budget 2022 and 2023 as annotated by the committee, say aye. Opposed, say nay. Very good. Ladies and gentlemen, we are finished for the day. As you'll note, tomorrow we will not be working HB 2419. The reviser is absent, and so I need to get an amendment drawn up, and not to me yet. So, well, currently, hopefully he'll be back tomorrow, and we can get on schedule and have this ready to be worked on Monday, March 7th. Until that time.